We've been doing movie nights for
years.
a Gen Xer and
A Gen Z. Random weird moments that the two of us have experienced, and there are a lot of those.
And he crashes them.
As you do.
It's like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, where did this come from? Why are we singing?
I mean, you're not going to learn anything about the movies listening to us talk.
This is the Argo City Podcast. Film, conventions, and fan life with Maddie and Matthew.
And we have returned!
And this is one of those where I can actually say it's kind of nice to be back, because what we're doing tonight is revisiting My Hero Academia.
Yeah, tonight we finally watched My Hero Academia, You're Next, the newest and most final movie of the series so far. I don't know if we're getting more movies, I'm not sure. But we watched the final movie. I've been wanting to get around to this one for a while.
When you say this is the newest and the final movie, so, like, do you know when this came out? Like, especially when the movie came out, as opposed to... We looked up where it fits in the continuity.
Came out October 2024, so still somewhat fairly recent.
Yeah, so less than a year ago. More than a year ago by the time this comes out. But when did the last arc of My Hero come out?
So this actually premiered during that arc.
So it really premiered like right in continuity, when it was supposed to be going on. And that's one of the things I was wondering about.
Yeah, this movie takes place right before episode 3 of season 7. So
right after you were saying the sky battle, and
yeah, I think it's right before the sky battle instead of right after the sky battle.
And this is important because I'm watching this and I'm looking to see who's around and
head count, who's not dead.
Right, but I mean that's the thing. Who's not dead, who's not injured, who's not crippled, who's not whatever. There's a lot happens in the last season of My Hero with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out who's at what point in that journey. So I think that's an important bit of continuity to reference.
No, yeah, definitely. It's always good to know where these are placed, because even when I'm watching them, back when I would watch them before I was with you, I was always really confused on like where any of these movies took place, because I watched the whole thing in like a month or two.
Well, and I will say that one of the things I like here, and I think I said this the last time that we did a My Hero movie, is that it feels a lot more even. It's focused on the main characters again, because the seasons meander.
Yeah.
Like, we have a season that's almost entirely about Todoroki, and I'm thinking, but I thought Midoriya was the main character. Yeah. And then even that last season, Midoriya shows up, and he's kind of the penultimate character. He's the linchpin of everything.
Yeah.
But he's not in it for an enormous amount of it. And this feels so much more even-handed. We see a lot of him. We see a lot of the main characters. But beyond that, everybody really does get something to do.
Yeah, everyone kind of just gets to, hang out. Honestly, with you talking about it, reminds me of one scene in particular where we are about to head off to the final showdown. Bakugo takes the lead and is ordering people to do certain things, like sending Sato and Ashido to go with the class reps in order to evacuate everyone so that you have muscle and acid to break through things. You've got, I find that fascinating.
Put a pin in that for a second, because I want to get there. But before we go much further, let's tell everybody, what did we actually watch? So Your Next is the introduction. It's a side quest. It's a side story featuring Dark Might. So this is a sort of mafioso son who has decided he wants to be the next All Might. And
but not a good one.
well, that we'll get into some of that as well too. But he wants to be All Might, and this is his coming out party. This is his introduction, his debutante ball, so to speak. Now, in the background, we have a mysterious stranger on a bike named Julio, who is
like, how is he the meanest person in this like whole thing?
And he is pursuing a young woman named Anna that Dark Might has in his possession, and she might just be the key to Dark Might's ultimate power. So, that's where we are. And it's a really interesting side quest. I can see why this is not a part of the main series. But again, I almost feel like they do these movies better because I'm getting a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
The main series tends to... this used to happen in the Justice League comics a lot with DC. Mm-hmm. So we'd start off strong. And it's Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and The Flash and Green Lantern and Aquaman. And then some editor would think, well, you know what? Green Arrow's on this team too, and he doesn't have his own book. These other characters, they all have their own books. What are we focusing on them for? Let's focus on Green Arrow and Black Canary and Red Tornado and Vixen and who else we got no, you don't get it. That's not what we came for.
And I will say here, I think that this is definitely something that you and me differ in. Because honestly, I get bored watching the same protagonist after a while. I like going on these side quests and actually following different characters throughout the series.
Well, see, the side quests, though, are bringing us back to the main characters. If we were giving side quests with the minor characters, mm-hmm. I'm on board with that. If we're getting a side series that's half the number of episodes with all of these side characters, I dig that. I'd like that. Let them rise or fall on their own merits, but it feels like My Hero, and a lot of it's not just My Hero, it's X-Men, it's Justice League, it's any of these. They get obsessed with the side characters and forget to dance with the one that brung you.
That's true, yeah.
So I feel like they've got this formula reversed, and it's so nice to be back with all these characters that we're just familiar with. And also, we haven't been doing My Hero for a while now. We finished the season.
We're waiting for the next season.
We are.
And then I'll throw it on the TV show night again, but...
So, it's been months since we've done anything My Hero. That's also why it's kind of nice to be back.
Probably wasn't since we watched the last movie.
Right, probably. And you can look back in the catalog and see how long that's been. So, this is cool. And I'll say this about the movie. It feels bigger than the TV show.
Really?
If you look at the cinematography and the way that things are framed... it's frequently from low angles. So even when our adorable fluffy headmaster shows up, it's a low dramatic angle, and we're getting as many people into the shot as possible.
Well, you have to
do it low.
Scope, you have to do it low because he's short.
And the scope all around, the way that they film it, is just, it feels bigger. Now, it's not necessarily that it's a bigger story, because My Hero also drifts into power creep. So each threat has to be bigger than the last.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a cosmic level emergency going on wherever we are. But the whole presentation feels bigger. I can tell this is a movie, not just a few episodes of the TV show smashed together, kind of like we were talking about with Anime Fest.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of these big, overpowerful characters, I want to talk about Dark Might, because Oh my gosh. Oh, sitting through this entire movie as we watch his power like slowly taking over, I'm sitting here and I'm like, what is this guy's power? We see more light. What is this guy's power supposed to be? Okay, now he has coins. I actually want to share something with you.
There's a moment where there's a moment where he throws the coins, and I'm like thinking, okay, this is just like the Joker in '89 Batman. I'm wrong about that, but that's what it felt like. So what were you seeing? Yes, share with me.
This is going to be kind of going into my own territory here, but you know how I used to roleplay a ton back online and such. Well, I used to roleplay in the My Hero fandom, and I actually created a character that this reminded me a lot of. The character's name was Randomizer, and the idea was that she would carry 2 dice with her. You roll a dice, and you make a wish. The higher the number, the more likely you are to get your wish. And that's what I was, like, really thinking of when we were watching this. Like, this reminds me a lot of that. Because I'm like, what are the purpose of these coins?
I love that we're both, like, formulating theories as we go along.
Exactly.
And we're both so fundamentally incredibly wrong.
I know. Nope. Like, spoiler warning, but this movie's been out for a year, so you had your warning. How does alchemy? That seems like such a boring, like.
Well, if it were actual true alchemy, kind of would be. I feel like they're just using that word to try and describe something else, because what Darkmite's power really is it's a sort of matter control, and to rebuild the matter around him. I was watching this for a while and wondering, is everything in his life an illusion? Like, he transports everybody into, it felt like the holodeck from Star Trek, and into their own little pocket worlds. But even all around him, as he's wandering through the halls and it's rearranging himself, and everybody around him and everything I'm like, is everything in your life just an illusion? Like you
thought he was crazy?
Well, not necessarily that, but fake. And he convinced himself that it wasn't fake. Huh. And I'm not certain that I'm wrong about that. I mean, I didn't realize that he was actually transforming matter. I had assumed that I used the word illusion for a reason. I thought it was a glamour. Something, okay. Just a huge illusion around everything. But I mean, is there anything in his life that is real? And I think that's a really good question to ask. Yeah. Everything, even with like, especially with Anna's power was actually really, really fascinating. Well, so let's describe that too. What's her power? Her power is essentially,
she's a power booster. She will boost someone else's power when they touch her as long as they are compatible, which she's not compatible with everybody, but as long as you are, she can boost it immensely. But it comes at the cost of, I'm assuming it was draining her power?
It sure does seem like it's sucking the life out of her. And it's messing with her hair.
Yeah, it's like slowly going from blonde to like a dark blue.
So like at least like the girl henchman should understand, no, you're breaking girl code.
No, but I'm kind of sitting here because I was still really wondering about like, based on what you said, assuming that it's draining her life force, we kind of see some flashbacks with Anna where her power is kind of going out and it gives her seizures. Mm-hmm. But Gerardo, he's able to neutralize it based with his own quirk. But now I'm wondering, even if with those seizures, because they said in the movie that she has to let out a certain amount of her quirk or else something. So,
are you wondering if it's finite, if it's limited?
Like, I'm wondering if that power it's just gonna if it would have just recharged eventually, or like her hair seemed to kind of stay put on those power levels, but as it keeps going down and down and down, wouldn't that be helping her not have seizures instead of the opposite?
I almost wonder if they could have sucked her dry like a vampire.
Like, I get that, but it's like the whole thing was that she has to let out a certain amount of her quirk. So
right,
would that not be benefiting her?
It might be, but if it's also tied within her life force, with her getting weaker and weaker every time you do it, and it sure felt like she was getting weak.
That's
like
true.
You said, I feel like you could overdo it, but I'm not sure, and that's a little undefined. I'll tell you, it reminds me of a couple of things, though.
Yeah.
Do you remember back with Star Trek: Next Generation? So that's the bigger ship with Captain Picard and Data and Worf. And
Okay.
So there's an episode where they bring a Vulcan ambassador on, Sarek. Sarek was actually Spock's father from the original series.
Okay.
And Sarek is slowly losing control.
That's right. I remember that.
And so one of his assistants was there to try and siphon off some of that telepathic energy. Try and help him keep control. It felt a lot like that to me.
Huh.
Or I could even go a step further and wander into your fandom. It almost feels like in the Shadows house, where they're seeking people who can absorb shadow, absorb soot.
Oh.
And
Absurd.
that's kind of what Julio would do. He'd absorb that quirk, just like some of those people could absorb soot from Grandfather and from the others, so they're not overloaded. So they're not.
He's neutralizing it by absorbing it, which is why it's helped. Okay, that makes a bit more sense in my brain.
Right, because there's an effect on him too.
Yeah, he does. He gets real tired afterwards.
So I think there's a lot. I think there's more going on there.
I have a book. Actually, no, it's probably outdated. I have a book of all the characters in the show that talks about their quirks and such. It's probably outdated now, but I wonder if I can find more information on her quirk and see if we can figure out more about that.
I almost wonder if maybe they go into more detail in the manga. There's got to be a manga on this. There's got to be a side quest version that they based this on. I can't.
Oh, I'm sure there is. But I did have another random question for you before we move on to something else. This could have been just me, but the way that Dark Might was especially grabbing onto her, was especially possessive of her, it almost makes me wonder what would happen if you combined out like the alchemy quirk with her power-up quirk.
Well, I think that's the whole point, that she's boosting his alchemy and allowing him to create. I'd bet that he has a limit.
Well, I'm speaking,
like, say, a field around him.
Well, I'm speaking more on the fact that if they had a child, what would that quirk become? Because that's what it seemed like to me, but that could have been just a me thing.
It's hard to say because I don't know. I mean, do quirks always mix?
They usually mix.
I'm not
in
sure
some
how
degree.
I'm not sure what it would be. I'm not sure if it would be a more powerful version of that of that matter manipulation, or if it would be a little bit of both. They don't feel like they would be compatible. You know what I think? I think that it's such a weird mix that you'd pop out a normal person
You'd
with
pop
no
out
quirk.
a quirkless.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting
And
idea.
boy, how much would that enrage Dark Might?
Oh my God, he would be pissed. It would be Endeavor levels of pissed. Oh man.
I'm having such a hard time constantly calling him Dark Might as well, even though, yes, that's what we're supposed to. But, I mean, because I hear Dark Might, and I look over and I think...
Batmite!
Well, there's actually a graphic novel where it's the tale of the Dark Might.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, it's a demeaning name to me. It's a diminutive name, but that's really who he is. Well, let's talk about Dark Might a little bit, because I think it's fascinating. For me, we have to go back to the metaphor of Superman, because that's really who All Might is in this world.
Yeah.
And Dark Might he's a pretender. Now, I get it, because Superman inspires other people to be like him. In fact, if we even go into like the death of Superman back in 1992,
Yeah.
the gimmick actually was, all right, we're going to bring out 4 different characters that could be Superman. And
Just pause for a quick second. This is shake mix on my hand.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to rub off the shake mix.
okay,
Sorry.
but pausing makes it harder for me to edit, so that's why I do it silently.
Sorry.
Anyhow, the whole gimmick, like the next month, was there were actually 4 Superman titles at the time. We're going to put a different person in each one.
Oh.
So one is going to be a black and blue costume with goggles. And is this Superman? The next one's going to be a kid. Is this Superman? Well, or Superboy? No, he don't call him Superboy. It will upset him. The next one is this one's like half robot and half Superman, or is it this man in the silver armor, this man of steel?
That's hilarious.
So
someone had fun making that pun.
They did, and steel's a part of Superman mythos going forward. But that's the whole idea. Okay, so there were always going to be pretenders to take that spot. So this makes sense to me. It really does.
Yeah.
And because he's got these weird matter manipulation powers, he can make himself even kind of mostly look like All Might.
Yeah, it's just like there's something off about it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you saw that. It's expressions.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how to explain it other than there's just something off about it.
The eyes are a little bit too wide. The smile is just a little bit too smug.
Yeah.
I mean, look, All Might had his faults, to be sure, but he wasn't like this complete and total Melvin like this guy is. I mean, All Might stumbled and he was cheesy, but he wasn't just this complete insufferable dink.
We literally get a scene where one of his agents failed, and he's holding him above a pit, and he's like, well, I think sparing you and showing mercy would be a great sign. I'll make sure to do that in your next life. Bye. Drops, and then he dies. Like, literally, he's insufferable.
He really is, but then again, this is kind of cool because there's good writing here that keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
And it shows instead of tells. It shows us that he's a bad guy and that he doesn't know what he's doing. And yet
he's a mafia guy. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I want to talk a little bit about Julio. So this is our mysterious guy on a motorcycle. I got misled a couple of times right at the beginning. Like the first 10 minutes, they're talking about, it's a guy with a 3-piece suit. What's he doing out there pouring tea? I'm certain that this is going to be gentle. This is going to be like the gentle criminal.
Wow.
And even when like one of Dark Knight's henchmen shows up, silver hair, suit, I'm like, okay, so no. But man, I just kept feeling like that. But no, Julio is just...
He's
mean. Cool. He's mean, but he's such a cool character.
Yeah.
I love... All right, cool character riding the bike. The gun for the hand. He feels like he's a Jim Lee character. He feels like one of those, like Gambit or like Drifter. Somebody that I would have latched right onto back in the 90s reading comics. I really like the look and the style. And yes, he's mean.
He loves insulting Midoriya. Literally, he's just like, no, I only took you along because I felt like you could be useful. Or literally pushing him out in front of the people with guns as a distraction. Like, he would have gotten himself killed.
Yeah, I didn't know your quirk was ignorance.
He's so mean. We're both sitting there just getting more and more flabbergasted as he insults.
Well, it's that, but at the same time, I'm also yelling back at the screen. I've never run into a My Hero movie that is more suitable for a Mystery Science Theater 3000, because I just keep wanting to joke back at the screen. So Midoriya finds this crumpled body in distress, and all of a sudden, gun comes up. Okay, so I'm thinking, so that's a no on me borrowing the bike or anything like that? It's like, so your quirk is ignorance. Yes, and your quirk is bite me. And it's
oh my
I constantly feel Dark Mike comes up with baloney smash. I'm
Literally,
like,
why?
worst name.
Why?
Ever.
I was cringing so badly.
There's some. Dark Mike transports Midoriya into the middle of this peaceful, mountainous, woody area, and it's taking every effort of discipline that I have to keep from breaking out in "The hills are alive with the sound of music." And it's constant in this movie.
I think they knew what they were doing with these references.
It really, it's fun to go with this. There's just so much here, though, that I feel like I want to joke back at, and at least until we get to like the dire ending. Before we get to the dire ending, though, let's also talk about Bakugo.
Oh?
Okay, so like, I don't like Bakugo.
Neither do I, really.
If we go back, though, to the Superman movie that we saw, at this point it's going to be a couple months ago.
The one we saw in theaters?
Yes. So, the Green Lantern in that movie,
Yeah.
that's basically Bakugo. It's that kind of character.
Yeah.
So, now you can kind of understand why I don't typically enjoy Bakugo. But
You say this, and yet you seem to hate every variation that voice actor does.
he just has a type. But you know what, though? This movie, it's the first time where I'm really actually kind of on board with him.
Really?
There's a moment, so there's one guy that's manipulating the fantasies and the dream selves that people are stuck in, and suddenly, boom, an explosion in his lair, and I'm like, well, that's Bakugo. And I was right.
Yes, you were.
And I'm like, okay. And Bakugo's like, I'm going to murder this guy. And I'm like, yes, you should.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I feel you. Like, I really loved, especially, I mentioned this scene earlier, but him getting his moment, like, ordering the troops was so great.
You just get just a little bit of a glimpse of maturity and leadership there. And that's not something we're used to seeing from him, but it's there.
Lord Murder Explosion Dynamite.
But the thing is, Bakugo has his uses. See, there's sometimes when you're working on something, you need a really small precision screwdriver. And there's other times when you just need a very large hammer. And Bakugo is a very large hammer in search of a nail. And there are a lot of nails in this movie that he needs to smash. He needs to burn.
You really hate the enemies in this movie, don't you?
Well, he's perfectly suited for this task. That's the thing. We haven't seen a lot of tasks where he is so perfectly suited for. And I love that. This is a great hero moment for him. It's him really coming into his own. This is his best destiny. This is what he's supposed to be doing. I'll tell you what else might be his best destiny. Teaming up with Todoroki.
Really? Okay, I need to hear your reasoning for this.
Well, we just watched the reasoning. They are a dynamite team through this whole thing.
That is true.
They really work together. Todoroki has the reserve. He has the discipline that could hold Bakugo back if he needed to. But they're also both on that same just hyper power level.
That's true.
They really complement each other. And the writers here did a great job of making them complement each other.
That's really an interesting take because they are full-on enemies in a majority of the media that they're in. Bakugo does not like him.
They absolutely
He does not like him.
But you know what? This is the same reason that a Superman-Batman pairing works. It's the same reason that every buddy cop movie from the 80s
because
works.
like when you force them to work together, there is end up being some. That's such an interesting take, though.
It's just this movie. This is the only time I've seen that happen or work. But now watching it happen, now watching it work, it makes me want more of it.
No, that's really interesting.
So there's just a couple more things I wanted to talk about, especially with Dark Might and kind of the whole hero story. Even like what you were talking about with, one of the villains failed, and so he drops him into a bottomless pit. Plunk. Oh, wait. Okay, so it's not bottomless. I'm not sure what splattered at the bottom there, but it's interesting to see that. It's interesting even to see the movie as a whole story. The movie is a whole study in dichotomy.
Oh.
And I think that parallel between Dark Might and All Might, maybe we even get a little bit of that between Midoriya and Julio.
Huh.
So, Julio, his mission is to kill Anna because her power has possibly gone out of control, or it's about to go out of control, and she's in the hands of the bad guy, and she made him promise.
Yeah.
If
That's
that
so
happens,
sad.
and it really is. And Midoriya, in particular, he's like, no, we've got to save her. We don't want to kill her. We want to save her. There's a really big difference. They both have the same goal. Deny the bad guy the power boost and save the innocent.
Yeah, but they go about it two completely different ways.
So I keep coming back to Superman because, again, All Might is the representation of Superman in this world. And I think that's even more important than the fact that it's just that we're just a Superman household. But
yeah. Oh, great.
I'm pulling out
the DVD now.
I'm pulling out Man of Steel.
3D.
So, one of the reasons that a lot of Superman fans, a lot of Superman people like me, don't like this movie is because the movie, the villains in the movie are the Phantom Zone villains. So they've been released from the Phantom Zone. They've broken out, and they're military trained, and Superman is not. And Zack Snyder wants a dark, edgy DC universe. He ends this movie with Superman finally tackling General Zod, and he can't quite hold him, but he's kind of doing it. Zod's got his heat vision full blast, and he's slowly trying to turn his head.
I think I know the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, he's going to murder everybody in this building. And the only thing Superman can figure out to do is to snap his neck.
What the
And that
frick?
is not Superman.
No, that's literally Superman's whole thing is that he values life. How can you just what?
And it's the thing that bothers a lot of us about this. Now, I will go even as far as the John Byrne run of the reboot. We talked a lot about this with the Superman movie. John Byrne actually had Superman trapped in a pocket universe at one point, facing versions of the Phantom Zone villains, and he had to. There was no way, he couldn't figure out any other way to stop them. He ended up having to poison them with kryptonite. And it wasn't a snap decision like in this movie. It was horrifying. It haunted him for years, real time, for the next year or two. It's haunting him to the point where he's having nightmares. He's developing a split personality.
Baby.
He has to leave the planet. It is that big of a deal.
Poor guy. That's terrible.
And that is Superman to me.
Yeah.
Even if he were to have to put himself in that position. That's the difference between Midoriya and Julio.
Yeah.
That's the difference between All Might and Dark Might. And I think it's really relevant here, which path do you want to go down? Because just killing her is going to be the easy way. By the way, just killing her would be the easy way to write this movie.
That's true.
You could have ended this movie way earlier. But trying to find a better solution is a better story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little bit about Man of Steel as well, because Man of Steel could have ended probably 40 minutes earlier than it did. Mm-hmm. There's a moment where the Phantom Zone villains, they come to Earth and they take off their helmets and they're distracted. Sensory overload.
Oh.
See, one of the reasons why Clark Kent wears glasses, one of the reasons why Supergirl wears glasses, helps them focus.
Really? I thought it was just the disguise.
It's partially that, but it's also to help focus. That's the thing that Ma and Pa Kent had to teach him, how to dismiss all that extra sensory input, dismiss all those other sounds.
I could use that.
And those other visuals, how to just focus your vision so you're seeing the person and not the skeleton inside them. And the Phantom Zone villains don't have any of that. And
that's true.
It's a moment where he's actually beating them down and rounding them and getting them out, but it's only brief. I feel like Man of Steel, if Man of Steel had ended with that, he's rounded them up because they're all disoriented and thrown them back into a black hole, back into the Phantom Zone, then Zack Snyder makes a good Superman movie. The problem is that climax isn't enough. He's got to go for the second climax where he's destroying the world and we get the, yeah. You know what? This movie kind of does that too. This movie goes a little bit too long.
Yeah, it kind of does hit you with one climax after the other.
Yeah, well, I mean, we get the climax and, okay, we've defeated Darkmite.
And then they bring him back for like 10 more minutes.
Yes,
like, he's dead.
Not 10, it's like 15. It's like
dead.
This thing could have ended in a nice tight 95 minutes and it's perfect. And they've got to go further.
Yeah.
It may be my only complaint here that it's about 15, 20 minutes too long, and they didn't have to be.
Yeah. There were a couple of other things that I did want to discuss.
Yes.
As we were kind of watching through. So the idea of Anna's power, boosting up quirks. Do you remember the drug that was going around in the original series?
Yes, where you basically buy a quirk.
Well, not buy a quirk, but I think it was something that the Yakuza was dealing out. It was like an injection. You'd inject it into your arm, boom, your power explodes.
Yes.
I find it interesting that I would honestly, I don't think it is, but it's an interesting callback to that drug we're dealing with for a good portion of a couple of those seasons, especially because they're also calling back to a mafia or to the Yakuza, like. I find that such an interesting correlation. So one of the things that I really did enjoy about this one in particular is the locations that our characters are ending up in. Literally, like, at one point we follow Yaoyorozu's team as they walk out into this giant city, and boom, why are we in Shiganzana? Why are we in Attack on Titan? All of these buildings are, like, looking exactly the same. I'm assuming that is because it's based on, like, the original, or, well, based on, like, the same location. At another point, we are in a dungeon, apparently. Why are we in a dungeon? Why are we in a video game? He's literally wearing a wizard costume in a back room spying on them. And Bakugo literally makes a comment like, I am a cheat code, as he bursts through the wall because they're breaking the rules. And that is so much fun to see, because I think that they are starting to realize that, like, along with the fandom of this, it's the fantasy along with it that the fandom absolutely enjoys. For one of the particular seasons, the intro is a whole, like, fantasy AU. We get to see, like, the Witch Ochaku that I've shown you with, like, the dragon and, like, all that stuff. And I have a feeling they're kind of playing into that here, which is really fun, because the amount of fantasy stuff, like, of them that I've read online, the amount of video game AUs that I've read of that online, because I'm not shy saying that I am very much in the fanfiction space in My Hero Academia, but I find it so interesting that they played along with that.
It is. Well, it's smart, too. Yeah, a little bit of fan service goes a really long way. I think we actually really... I think we really dissected this.
Really, yeah.
There's only one other thing that this really, really needs. More Froppy.
That's true. We get one scene where she is like waving back and forth during her dream sequence with all the frogs. But yeah, I think this movie needs more Froppy. This movie needs Hatsume. We're literally in like the most technological building ever. I could use my bestie Hatsume right now. I'm surprised they didn't even show her once when they were talking about the whole like AU system since she helped build it.
They packed so many people into this though. And
I don't know. I'm still a little salty about that.
And really, if those are our only complaints, a little bit long, not enough Froppy and Katsume, I'd say this is actually a pretty high recommend.
But you know the other thing that was really interesting about this movie?
Yeah, what?
It was actually very poorly received.
See, I don't get that because this is not a bad narrative. It's not a bad adventure. I wonder if it's got more to do with when it was released, like in the middle of everything.
Like, that's true. Like it released just before just before we started the whole long arc of the climax. So that would make sense as to maybe why nobody watched it.
It would stop that whole narrative dead in its tracks.
Yeah.
When we're just waiting for something else. I'll be interested in seeing, and it may not happen yet. It may take a year or two to see how this was received afterwards, to see if it builds a better reputation years down the road.
Yeah, because that tends to be the case with most of the movies. I know a lot of the movies aren't super well received, but I don't know. They're one-time watches unless it's Two Heroes. That one I can watch multiple times, but I kind of get it. Like they're not good for rewatch, which kind of hurts it a bit.
Well, I think that is it for this week.
Yeah.
So we're actually heading straight into Christmas here, which it's going to be like I like seeded Christmas to you in exchange for Halloween. So we'll see what happens. You may be getting a lot more movie Wheel of Boom coming up.
Yeah, you're stealing October and I'm stealing Christmas. I am the woman that stole Christmas. Anyways, I think that's all for this particular episode. So we will see you guys next week with a movie box of doom. Bye guys.